Good evening, members of the media and other distinguished guests, and all these law enforcement officers here from Kentucky and Tennessee and different places. We're just so thankful that everybody's here. The reason for our being here today is to join forces to address and reduce fatalities and personal injury accidents. Both states will join forces along Fort Campbell Boulevard tonight at the state line in a roadside checkpoint from 11 o'clock until 1 o'clock a.m. And the Hands Across the Border campaign began in 1991 to bring awareness to seatbelt and child safety seat use across the southeastern states. Our goal is to send a message of zero tolerance. Not only a zero tolerance when it comes to using seatbelts, but zero tolerance when it comes to driving distracted, speeding, and other traffic violations as well. Zero is the number we're striving for because one fatality is too many for all of us. Today, you will not only hear from law enforcement officials, but you will hear from a mother who knows all too well the pain of losing someone because of impaired driving. Tonight, this roadblock will be in memory of Tyler Head, who you see here only in pictures because of the irresponsibility of an impaired driver. You will hear from his mother, Gina, who is also here with her husband, Steve, who has agreed to courageously deliver the same message that we wish to deliver in our enforcement efforts. Our goal is to save lives and to make the highway safe. As we close in on the Memorial Day weekend, the roadway is your means of getting to the ones you love. And our goal is for you to arrive safely wherever you go and to whomever you go to. First of all, this evening, I want to introduce to you the law enforcement administrator with the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, who is someone who is passionate about highway safety and the programs that go along with it. And at this time, we'll hear from the law enforcement administrator for Tennessee Highway Safety Office, Richard Hope.
Thank you, Tony. I want to thank our folks that's here from Kentucky. And the reason we're doing this, that highway fatalities know no boundaries. They don't know a county line. They don't know a state line. And we're kicking off our Click It or Ticket season. And begins now, it's going on, and it will continue through Memorial Day. Then we go into summer heat. Law enforcement is going to be looking for people that's not wearing their seatbelts. And that's those that are not wearing their seatbelts at night as well. Nighttime enforcement is going to be very critical as we're participating in a border-to-border campaign that specifically addresses nighttime belt enforcement. Also throughout the summer, we're going to be looking for impaired drivers, those that are impaired on alcohol or prescription medication or illegal drugs. We're going to intensify those efforts tremendously over the summer period and the holiday season, especially just coming up. But as far as our seatbelt rate users, we're pretty close. We've got about 89, almost 90% belt use rate in Tennessee. Of our fatalities that are taking place, about 10% of those are not wearing their seatbelts. And they make up over half of our fatalities. So it kind of makes sense that if we've got a seatbelt in a car or an automobile, we need to use it. And that means an SUV and especially a pickup truck, because your life is important to us. Your life is important to people you work with and your family. So every time you get in an automobile or any kind of motor vehicle that is equipped with a seat belt, use it. And we also need to remember that it's our motorcycle season, that we have motorcycles that are out on the highway. We need to look twice for motorcycles. They share the road. Also, people that share the road are bicyclists and even pedestrians. So we need, it's really not necessary to have a fatality out there on the highway if we'll take the safety precautions, if we'll slow down, and we'll look for other people that's using the road. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you. There's a lot of things we do to get out the message about driving safely on our roadways. We spend lots of money every year on signage. We spend lots of money every year on advertising. We do everything we can through NHTSA to make our vehicles safer and more able to survive a crash. But with all the money that we spend and all the messages we try to put out, with all the media that we buy every year, nothing speaks louder than the voice of someone who's lost a loved one. And I appreciate so much Gina and Steve being here today to share with us the message of their pain. And I truly believe of all the things we do, when we hear from a victim and we hear the emptiness and we hear the loss, if we don't hear that message, then the rest of the messages are hard to listen to. And so thank you, Gina, for being here. Thank you, Steve, for being here. And at this time, we'll hear from Gina Head, mother of Tyler.
Thank you all. On the morning of February 3rd, 2012, my life changed forever. When our youngest son, Tyler Jackson Head, was killed by an impaired driver at 7:30 in the morning as he was driving to class at APSU. Tyler was a vibrant, fun-loving, hard-working Christian young man who lit up the room with a smile, and everyone who came in contact with him was better off for knowing him. Tyler had his whole life in front of him. I vehemently ask that you make choices that do not devastate the lives of others and also your life. I ask that you do not drink and drive, that you do not drive sleep deprived, and that you do not drive impaired by drugs, whether they be prescription or illegal. Tyler was killed by a man who had a combination of drugs, alcohol, and sleep deprivation. The choices that he made 2 to 3 days before he came across 3 lanes of traffic on Madison Street and hit Tyler head on has devastated our family and took an innocent life that had so much to give to society. I would give anything to have my precious Tyler back, but there's nothing I can do to bring him back. All I can do is to try and bring awareness to the causes of his death and to hopefully prevent other families from going through the hell that we have gone through and still struggle with and go through, even after 4 years, 3 months, and 17 days. Tony talked about the number of innocent lives, that are the number of wrecks that you see on the billboards. That year that Tyler was killed, Tyler was at one of those numbers. I can't remember now for sure, but it was 1,000 and something that year. Please, please do not let a family member or yourself or anyone that is innocent be on that board and be a number. I want to thank the Governor's Safety Office, Tony Burnett, Clarksville Police Department, and the state of Kentucky for dedicating the roadblock in Tyler's memory over this upcoming Memorial holiday. Thank you, and God bless. I am forever Tyler Head's mama.
Thank you so much, Gina. The Tennessee Highway Safety Office could not accomplish its goals and priorities without great partnerships in the state of Tennessee. One of those great partnerships that is always dependable, one that I can always lean to and depend on, is the Clarksville Police Department. today I'm very honored, and we're very honored, to have Chief Ansley come and speak to us at this time.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to keep this brief. I do want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Head for being here today. And I, speaking for myself, cannot imagine the pain that you've been through over these last 4+ years. And she makes an outstanding point. It's all about saving lives. It's all about changing people's habits. And the relationship we've had with the Governor's Highway Safety Office has been outstanding through these years. And I will tell you this, that our mission is the same as theirs, to save lives. We had 20 people die in traffic crashes in our jurisdiction in 2015. That's 20 too many. I would also like to take a minute to recognize our traffic unit, which they seldom get recognized, under the command of Lieutenant Phil Ashby, Sergeant Johnny Ransdell, and Sergeant Brett Norfleet. Many of them standing to my left, I know are dedicated to that same mission that the Governor's Highway Safety Office is. Not through just law enforcement, but also through education. And as I said, changing people's habits, not just drinking and driving, texting and driving, just plain not paying attention, speeding. These people mostly standing to my left, if they catch you, they will square you away. So my advice to all, especially here in Clarksville, if you want to avoid them, is to slow down. And I also like to, it's an honor for us to work with the Christian County, Kentucky State Highway Patrol, certainly THP and Montgomery County, many of them here today. My honor, we all work better in law enforcement when we work together as a team. And from speaking for the Clarksville Police Department, thank you for having us here today. Thank you.
One of the elements of making things happen with highway safety is to have each state has traffic safety resource prosecutors. And we are very fortunate today to have the traffic safety resource prosecutor from Kentucky with us. We asked him to come and make a few comments. Sometimes there's things that need to be heard from the prosecution side. They're the ones that face the music. They're the ones that face the people when they get to court, are instrumental in teaching our officers the laws that they need to know, and in some cases even seeing some of those laws get changed. Today we're very honored to have Kentucky State Resource Prosecutor with us, and that is Bobby Stokes. Bobby, thanks for being here, Bobby.
Thank you, Tom. And also thank you to the Tennessee Governor's Office of Highway Safety allowing us to participate. Kentucky looks forward to working with our counterparts here in Tennessee on our Hands Across the Border, which is setting off our first campaign of the year from National Highway Traffic Safety Administration for Click It or Ticket. You know, it's interesting. I grew up in a time, and I think maybe looking around, maybe some of the people here share the experience that, you know, the passenger or I guess occupant protection, you know, growing up more or less consisted of your parent throwing the arm bar down, you know, when you're getting ready to have an aggressive braking or anything of that nature. And, you know, while that is, you know, the intentions are great in that type of behavior, but the reality is we know that that's not enough. It's not enough to stop what can happen when there's a crash, the type of injuries and fatalities that can occur. In the state of Kentucky, we started our first Click It or Ticket campaign in 2001. The idea behind that was we needed to make a change. We needed to do more. And with that, we jumped on, obviously, with Tennessee and many other states in doing the Click It or Ticket with the idea that, one, we're going to write more tickets. We're going to have to cite people for not wearing their seatbelt. The idea being that even though it may be unpleasant to receive a ticket for sure, and certainly it's uncomfortable for law enforcement to issue these type of tickets, but the idea behind it was that these may change behavior. And that behavior change would be that people who do not wear their seatbelts are going to be held accountable and would in turn wear their seatbelts. And you know what? It's worked. And it continues to work. Because in 2001, the state of Kentucky usage rate was just over 60%. As of our last usage rate survey, we were all the way up to 87%. Now, we can't get too excited and pat ourselves on the back because there's a lot of work to be done. The national average for seatbelt usage is already at 90%, so we're going to have to work just to get to that point. But even still, that's not going to be enough. Because in our minds, unless we have 100% usage with respect to your seatbelts, then we're not being a success. That is our definition of success when it comes to seatbelt usage, 100%. And you all might be thinking, well, that's just a little bit unrealistic. Well, let me ask you something. What do you think the people would have thought back when your parents were still using their armbar technique, or even in 2001, the idea of actually having 90% usage rate? I suggest to you at that point in time, that would have been considered unrealistic to them. So 100% is not only a goal that we should strive for, but it's a goal that we should reach. Because when we reach that goal, we're not only making people safe on the roads, we're saving lives and we're reducing fatalities. And that's what we're here to do. So again, I want to thank the Tennessee Governor's Office of Highway Safety with working with us and striving towards that goal. And as we go through this campaign, and if there's anything we can do to assist, we'll be there for you. And also I want to thank Mr. and Ms. Head for, sorry for your loss.
Guarantee if I was riding with my mom today and she hit the brakes, she's still going to do that. It's just a learned behavior, I guess, from years back. Another great partner of ours that always is dependable, we can depend on, who's been a great partner with the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, is the Montgomery County Sheriff's Department. And at this time, I'd like for Jimmy Brown to come and make a few comments for us.
Thank you, Tony. Just want to remind people that, when you're out there on the roads driving, buckle up, because we're out there looking, and we don't want to have to go to your family's house to give them the notice that you've died in a crash, and then have to tell them that you were either impaired or not wearing your seatbelt, or when you make that phone call from the jail to them that you've been booked into jail because you were driving under the influence and you run over somebody and you may have hit and killed someone else's family, and then we have to go tell them. Just want to remind you that we're going to be out looking all summer long for impaired drivers and those not wearing your seatbelts and any other violations that cause crashes out there, not just in your urban areas, but rural areas also. We're going to be looking. We don't want to have to make those notifications. We want everyone to make it home safely, and we hope that everyone does. The goal is to have 0 fatalities, and that would help all of us out in our jobs and notifying families. If we did not have to go to tell one more family, you would not hear us complain about not having to tell a family about a death in theirs. We thank the heads for sharing their story, and that it might touch one person out there to save their life or the life of someone else. Thank you.
In closing, I want to thank everyone for being here today. We also have the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety, Greg Dennison, here with us. We appreciate him coming and supporting our efforts as well. And I want to thank, once again, I know we have, but Gina and Steve, thank you for being here. Your position today is the one we all strive to avoid and to prevent from happening. That is our goal. Remember, if you're making irresponsible decisions, your irresponsibility is our responsibility. And we will find you, we will look for you, and we will do our job to make sure that the highways are safe. Thank you. As you look around this room, we've got different people from different agencies on both sides of the state line. And I want to thank you for sacrificing time with your family so that other people can be with theirs. A lot of these people you see during the holidays, when you're home, when you're cooking out, when you're spending time, they're out trying to keep the highway safe, and I want to thank them for their boots on the ground and all the time and efforts they'll put in to keep everybody safe and to get everybody where they need to go. Thank you so much. Our speakers will be available for comment or questions. As soon as we're finished, we'll stick around for a few minutes. Thank everybody for being with us today. Thank you, media, and other guests as well. Thank you, and that concludes our press event. Good to see you again. I hope to see you again.